Welcome to this week of Study Skills and Leadership. This week's topic is test taking. I'm sure you've all taken a test before, but hopefully after this week you'll see test taking in a new light. So let's first talk about preparation. Once you know the date, write it down and then come up with a plan to study. Your notes will probably be your main source of study material, so make sure you're utilizing those techniques that we learned last week on creating and taking notes. I have a few additional preparation tips I'd like to share with you. The first is don't cram. While it might be necessary at times, it's a very ineffective way. And then the second is to go to review sessions. If they are available, they are always helpful and you can always ask whatever questions that may be lingering for you. And then the third is seriously start to review the material 1 to 2 weeks before the exam because you want to avoid having to cram. And then lastly, there are some resources that can be helpful when studying, but I want you to be wary of them. The first resource is SparkNotes. While it gives a good summary, it misses the magic of the poem or the reading or whatever you're looking at. The next resource are movies. Often books have movie adaptations, but they tend to change the plot and take scenes out and add scenes. So they're a good source of entertainment, but they don't give you a holistic view of what you're supposed to be reading. And the last source is Wikipedia. As you all should know, Wikipedia is not a reliable resource because anyone can add information to it. It's a good place to start, but we want to make sure that you guys find more reliable information. Now it's time to talk about actual test day. While you probably have heard all of these before, they're extremely important, so we're still going to go over them. The night before the exam, make sure to get a normal amount of sleep. It helps your brain function, and you will be free of the distraction of being tired during your exam. The morning of, make sure you eat something to give the brain the energy it needs to help you tackle this exam. Also, review and glance over materials so it's fresh in your memory. And then lastly, accept that you know what you know and go for it. Now, while you're taking the test, remember to follow directions, read and listen to any directions your teacher gives to you out loud. Skim the exam to get a feeling for the types of questions that are there, and then so you know how to plan accordingly. In addition, I want to share with you a way to tackle the exam. Go through the test and answer questions that you know for sure. Then when you're done, go back and answer the ones you left blank. Hopefully by reading and answering previous questions, your memory is jogged, or maybe a different question had the answer to another question. This happens more often than you may think. If there are essay questions, make sure you leave enough time to answer them. Now we're going to look at different types of questions that can appear on exams and tips on how to approach them. The types of questions that we'll be looking at are true or false, matching, multiple choice, short answer, and essay questions. The first type of question we're going to look at is true or false. Here is an example. True or false, Information Technology Academy is housed under the Department of Information Technology. While you probably said true, it is actually false. ITA is housed under the Division of Information Technology, not Department. For these types of questions, pay close attention to the wording. The next type of question is matching. Here is an example. Match a TTI class in the year in high school you will be taking it. For these questions, glance at both columns, read the top left, and then match it with the right, and just work down from there. Cornell notes can be useful for these types of questions. As you recall from last week, Cornell notes have 2 columns. The left side is the word and the right side is the description. You can play your own matching games by covering up the description or by covering up the word and then trying to recall one or the other. The next type of question we're looking at is multiple choice. These are the most common types of questions. Here's an example. So when you get these, the first thing you want to do is cross out any foolish answers. The question is, what location does ITA and TTI not have a cohort? So you can cross out the locations you know we have cohorts, which leaves you with the answer of Menominee. For these questions, you want to look at answers that are similar but have subtle differences. In addition, it is extremely important to pay attention to qualifiers. We'll get to what qualifiers are in a few slides. First, let's look at short answer questions. Here's an example. Short answer questions are usually answered in a few sentences, so make sure you answer all parts of the question. This answer would be deducted points because it doesn't answer why the student wanted to go. Answering all parts of the question also applies for essay questions, which is the last type of question we're looking at. Make sure that you plan out enough time to write at the beginning of the exam. So let's look at this example. This is a past essay prompt from the ACT. I'm not going to read all of it, but as you can tell, there is a lot of information and asks for several different things. So be sure to read carefully and make sure you answer all parts of the question. It's often helpful to write out a brief outline of what you want to talk about before actually writing the essay. Usually the 5-paragraph essay format works. As I mentioned before, qualifiers are important to keep an eye out. So let's talk about what those are. Qualifiers are words that overstate, understate, or are just right. Some 100% qualifiers include always, never, and all. Some in-between qualifiers are sometimes, often, and few. These words can be the line between right or wrong. That's all that content I have for you this week. Make sure to take the quiz based on this video and then respond to the discussion prompt. As always, if you have any questions, feel free to email me. Have a good week.